What made you ghost a friend? When I came home to find the power off, bill hadn't been paid. We were friends from work. He had split up from his ex, and I needed to be closer to work. We went 50-50 on a rental. He has 3 kids from the previous relationship. With me being the nerd, I agreed to pay the tech bills, internet, phone, cable TV. He agreed to pay the power as he burned more because his kids were over on access visits. Came home. Dark house. Investigate. He hadn't paid the power for ages because his new girlfriend wanted the money. Then I discovered he wasn't paying his rent either. Same reason. Down $5k. Power. Rent. We were evicted. Ghosted. We had been friends for years. Like long-term sisterhood kind of shit. I did so much for her over the years and didn't even bat an eyelash. I asked her to watch my cat while I went on a 10-day vacation, a cat that she also loved because it belonged to her family before me. She agreed to watch the cat. I even called her about 4 days into my vacation to ask her again to go and check on my cat to make sure it had food/water and a few scritches. When I came home, my cat's water and food bowl were bone dry and she let out the most tormenting meows I have ever heard. My friend didn't check on her once in the 10 days that I was gone. She played stupid when I confronted her about it and said, "Oh, I completely forgot." That was the beginning of the end. Edit. As for ghosting her, I had to. After the cat incident, she tried to make me feel guilty for being mad at her for it. I think I even ended up apologizing because she was so beside herself. A few more disagreements accrued after that, and I was always put on a guilt trip. I decided that I didn't need that negativity in my life anymore, and I ghosted her. To this day she tries to get back to me, even through mutual friends. She badmouths me, then tells them how much she misses me. Chick is whack. She started hanging out with a new friend. That's fine. I'm not her only friend. Then while we were hanging out, as pre-planned, she would leave to go hang out with her new friend. Then she'd break plans with me to hang out with her, all while tagging her on Facebook so none of it was being hidden. 3 years later she reaches out to me and apologizes. It's genuine as she mentioned insightful things she would have no way of knowing unless she had grown and been very honest with herself. We are friends for another 2 years when she starts to hang out with another new friend. Repeat. Started talking shit about me to my GF and best mate. His dad had a history of drinking problems and he was starting to exhibit the same behavior. So I suggested we should both take a break from drinking for a while and try to focus on some healthier shit. He apparently took that as I'm not the same person and my GF was the person who changed me. Getting ditched every time there's a new guy on the scene, but being expected to be there the second it all breaks down. When I realized a lot of the things that made her laugh were at my expense, she thrived off of humiliating me. When you realize that they're never really there for you and your friendship only breeds passive aggressiveness and envy. Slept with other friends GF out of spite. I loved this girl. She was so clutch for me when my life was in ruins. The issue was that she and I were both addicts at the same time and both came from the same types of affluent families. But for whatever reason, I got clean and I turned my life around while she got worse. She and I were both addicts with eating disorders, alcoholism, and both addicted to Xanax. I got clean and only recently, 7 years later, have started experimenting with maybe 1 or 2 beers per month if I'm out with my husband. She ended up with this awful guy, who she will not give up, who got her hooked on meth. I was there for her for a long time. After rehab and a few arrests, she stayed at my house for a bit on 2 different occasions. But the last time she did, she tore my house apart looking for alcohol, which we didn't have. Stole my ID so she could get Postmates to deliver vodka to my house, and nearly got us both killed by grabbing and yanking my steering wheel while I was going 80 miles per hour up I-95. I've tried so many times to help her get and stay clean, but she keeps going back to that guy and her triggers are my triggers. I had to distance myself because she was making me relapse. When I realized the relationship was one-sided and they only cared about themselves. Every conversation was about them and their lives. They rarely asked or were interested in what I had going on. The selfishness was just too much after a while. She burned the bridge. For most of the year and a half that she and I started working at the same place, she bullied me, micromanaged me, made me feel left out, and gaslighted me whenever I tried to confront her behavior. It was almost always my fault. Nothing I ever did was right. And she refused to believe that she has control issues or that she was using me as a punching bag. She started doing this thing where she wouldn't text me unless I texted her first, and then get mad if I didn't text her. So, once she quit the job, I stopped texting her. I haven't spoken to her at all since August 2019, and I don't regret it. When I realized she was maybe my best friend, but I was not her. In fact, I was only useful to her. He knocked on my door one night and said, "Let's go for a drive." This wasn't that odd, since I love driving to cool my head. So we start driving, and maybe 10 minutes in, he starts directing me on where to go. He asks me if I mind making a quick stop. I'm annoyed but say sure. We end up at this sketchy house in the middle of nowhere, and my buddy goes inside, but tells me to wait in the car. Almost 45 minutes later he comes back out and says we got to go to the bar. It takes me about 10 seconds to realize this pose went in there to get coke and was already high. So I tell him that I'm not feeling it tonight and drop him off at his place. Spoke to him once after that when he wanted to hang, and I told him I'm nobody's errand boy. Never gave a shit if he got the message because I haven't spoken to him since. My best friend growing up was a kid I lived next door to from the age of 9 until 18. At school, he would pretend not to know me so he could seem cool to the popular kids. He would invite me places and ditch me. He would break plans so he could free up time to hang with his cooler friends. That shit got real old, real fast. When I was 18 I moved to the other side of town. We were growing apart more and more, but I would still try to hang out with him when I could. Well, one day he asked me to come over to his house and play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater when it first came out. I was so pumped that I walked 3 miles to his house only to be told that he was going to go hang out at his other friend's house instead. But could I babysit his brothers and sisters? Needless to say, things weren't the same after that. I stopped answering his calls. He would stop by and I would leave just to avoid him. He would make plans to hang out and I never bothered going. I just gave up on trying to be friends with that guy. I tried so hard for almost 10 years just to be a good friend to him, and he just pushed me to the wayside. Maybe I'm an asshole for stooping to his level, but I don't care anymore. I told her not to tell anyone, so she told everyone. I've grown to learn that no secret is safe if it's shared with anyone, even to someone you deem trustworthy. I don't tell any big secret to anyone. They will follow me to my grave. Too much drama. Told a sob story in order to garner sympathy points. Story didn't check out and no one believed her, so she got even more angry about it. Decided to book it because her stories and blame games were getting too much for me. Too much insult humor. Really ducked my esteem edit, since I can't possibly respond to all these and keep my sanity. We were friends for a while, and it was almost always insult humor, and that combined with a shitstorm of other things just got to me, and I took it personally and ended up blowing up at them. Now I really don't have any way to talk to them and don't care anymore. That realization that you're the one initiating all the interactions with them, and when you stop, they don't notice. Guy told me you'll never be a good teacher. After 2 years of unemployment following my graduation with a teaching degree, I realized the bastard had meant every joking insult he'd ever said to me. Her fiance was arrested and did jail time for possession of child pornography. When he got out, she married him and talked about how excited she was to have children with him. Edit. I understand that people are concerned about any children that are born to these people. I'm concerned too. That said, I cut off contact with her 6 years ago. I can't FB stalk her due to her privacy settings. I also moved a few time zones away, so I'm not in the same social circle as her anymore either. All I can do is hope that the people who are still in her orbit do their due diligence. It sucks, but that's the option available to me. When I was in college, I, M, and a friend, M, went out drinking with a mutual friend, F. We drank enough to decide to all crash at my apartment, which was within walking distance of the bar. My female friend passed out on the sofa. As soon as we got there, I shot the shit with my friend for about 10 minutes before he starting talking about my passed out girl, looking at her and saying things like I could duck her right now and she'd never know. I'm ashamed that I didn't kick him out. What I did was stay up all night sitting in a chair next to her just to make sure he didn't rape her. Duck that guy. Needless to say, I ghosted him after that night. Edit. Thanks for the awards, guys. To those saying maybe he was just mouthing off, no. The things he was saying were just way over the line. Freaked me out. I kept trying to get him to go sleep it off in my bedroom, but he kept saying nah, I'll just crash in this chair next to her. She flirted with me and didn't stop. I have a GF, and I didn't need that drama. Depression. Keeping up communication is rough sometimes. A day of not replying to a message can become a week when you don't know how to explain that you just couldn't be around people that day, which can become a month when it always seems impossible to reach out and explain where you've been. Thankfully my friends are the understanding sort and don't give me too hard a time, but I still feel like an asshole. Every time when there is a girl involved, this dude turns into the cringiest being there is, treading so much to get laid. In a group chat, when two girls were talking about what to wear for their girls' night out, he started bringing up panties, bras and whatnot. I left that group, started a new one with everyone from the old group except him. The fact she wasn't putting effort in our friendship and just texted if she needed something, and she always made me feel like I'm not welcome and wanted. So, nope, thanks. Anyone else on this post looking for the reason someone may have ghosted them? Open bracket. When I realized she liked hating things more than liking them. I hate beer, hate EDM, hate Marvel, hate Channing Tatum, hate football. These are all things she said. It's okay that we don't enjoy the same things, but she'd go out of her way to let me know she hated something and rarely talked about what she liked. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.